Hello everybody, Ian, Starship Adventures, and today I want to go back to something I've visited one other time, but I'm going to take it from a little bit different angle today. Today we're going to talk about scheduling. Probably one of the most important things that especially nonprofit groups do. One of the most critical factors that you have is getting people to show up at your event. If we throw an event and nobody shows up, it turns out to be a waste of money or a waste of time or nobody got to participate or whatever. So what we want to do is make sure that we do everything we can to maximize participation. And the number one thing that screws up participation is bad scheduling. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. In previous video, I talked about how you should never schedule during weekdays, like ham radio events and operating events and contesting and things like that should never be scheduled during the week. And a lot of times your national stuff is not scheduled during the week, but a lot of your local stuff is. And there's reasons for that, gatekeeping and other things. And I'm not really going to get into too much of that in this video. This video, I'm going to focus mostly on radio nets. Radio nets are something that were a lot more popular 20 years ago than they are today. There's just less and less people becoming involved in radio nets. There is still a number of regular nets out there, like the National Traffic System, NTS. They still do nets both on the NI4CE and here locally in Lee County. There's nets around the area that do NTS and pass traffic and practice moving messages that way. There's a lot of information style nets, there's club nets, and there's specific nets that are about certain things, a certain digital group net, or maybe a net about POTA. And so there's a lot of different nets out there, but what you're going to find with these nets, the number one thing you'll find with ham radio nets is a very small fraction of the membership in clubs and a very small fraction of the total number of ham radio operators out there will actually ever pick up a radio and become part of a radio net. I don't know why that is. I enjoy them. I regularly participate in 5-6 nets a week easily, and I like it. I really enjoy it. I used to routinely check in on every local net that there was in 2 counties here. I think it's great. I think it's a great way to promote the hobby. It's a great way to participate in the hobby. It's a great way to test my own equipment and to make sure that my knowledge and my programming and my radio is all correct. So there's a lot of reasons to do nets. So we get back to the reason for this video, and that is scheduling nets. I mean, they are the heart of the engagement pretty much. I mean, other than HF phone, which is having a hard time right now as well. This is one way that hams sit and talk to each other about ham radio, and it's slowly dying like everything else. So we want to get people back into it. What makes participation drop in nets? Well, nets that aren't scheduled properly, nets that overlap, nets that are during times when a lot of people are not available. A lot of nets are not in good times on purpose because the people that run the net don't want that many people on there, or they don't want a certain group or class of people on there, or a certain age of people on there. That's called gatekeeping. And again, try not to get too much into that, although it is a huge problem in ham radio. That same 15 or 20 people that I talked about earlier, they're the ones that are going to be there every time. And so they're the ones that are going to help you get more people involved. And so those are really the important people, the people that are already participating in nets. And if a net starts to weaken, doesn't get as many check-ins, for instance, it will eventually fizzle out. We've got 3, I think, here just in this county alone that are still on the books, but it's silence. There's no one there. So when is the best time to schedule a radio net? Well, let's be realistic about life, okay? First thing we want to do is not exclude people purposely. Okay. That's probably the biggest piece of advice I can get is make sure your group is not. Make sure you don't have people in your group that are purposely scheduling things during the week to keep the youth out or to keep the working folks out and just make it an old man's club. Um, People have families. People can't show up in the middle of the day. People can't do a radio net at 2 in the afternoon or 10 o'clock in the morning. It's just a bad time. Now, if you're running an NTS net and it's the same 6 guys on every day and all 6 of you don't work, okay, but that's going to affect other people getting involved. That's the problem. You get your 6 or 7 people, and if that's all you want, that's fine. But you holding a net at 10 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon during the week is going to limit you from that day forward. Every single day that you do it, it's going to limit you. They should be in weeknights. Weeknights are the best, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And of course, it can go over 9 a little bit too. Although you start finding a lot of these folks drop off quick after 8:30, 9 o'clock. Some people say 7 p.m. is a little early. They're still getting home from work. They're having dinner. 7's a little early. 9, many will tell you, is too late. So that gives you a pretty small window to work with there, 5 nights a week. And then like here, one night is out Tuesday night because the club meetings, the board meetings, and the Aries meetings are all on Tuesday nights, 3 different nights out of the month. So that's one night out. So now we're down to Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that gives us just a very few. And Friday is a bad night. Take it from somebody that used to run a tech net on Friday nights. Friday nights suck. Nobody wants to do anything on Friday night. It's the end of the work week. People just don't want to deal with anything on Friday night. So really that gets you down to Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, at least here. In your town, it would be a little different. But so it doesn't give you a whole lot of opportunities, but you still have to make sure that nothing overlaps. I think the number one thing that people do wrong with nets is they schedule them overlapping or at the same time. And that's not always the fault of the club. Some nets aren't even affiliated with a club. Other nets are, I talked to the president of the local club last week. I love that guy. And he told me, he said, a lot of these nets aren't ours, dude. He goes, I don't schedule these nets. We don't schedule these nets. They've been going for 100 years. And that other one that conflicts with it's been going for 40 years. Okay, I get it. I mean, that stuff like that happens, but it does hurt the future of it. And so I suggest that anytime we can, we massage these schedules to make sure that the nets are taking place one at a time. Weekends, mid-mornings, early afternoons, not a great time, but if it's a specific net that's keyed for one specific thing, like a POTA net or a technical net for digital modes or something, you might get enough people that can do that sort of thing. But you will find diminished results during the day on on Saturday and Sunday, because many people are out. The kids are having their sporting events. There's all kinds of things going on. Weekends, not the best time. Weekend evenings are very different. Saturday evening is not a good evening for a net. Not that it can't happen, especially if it's mostly older folks, probably could still do it. But Sunday nights is a good night for a net. Sunday nights is a real good night for a net. People are home, they're relaxing, they got to work in the morning, and it's a good time for working folks, because it's one last thing to do before you go to bed type of thing, and it works out pretty good. So that's kind of your times that you have to work with here. Like I said, weekday evenings, definitely the best. And there's only really 4 of those because Friday's not good. Post dinner, I mean, a lot of people say 7 is too early. 7:30 is better. I work till 7. So if the net starts at 7, I can't broadcast it. If the net starts at 7:30, I'm able to get home and get it on the air usually right about the time it starts. So it would be better for me at 7:30, but then we lose half an hour. Remember that precious time between 7 and 9 in the evening. I don't know. It's one of those things. Some people say if we do it on the weekend, like Sunday evening, we'll get different operators. We'll have a little more chance of some different folks. Could be. Consistency is key, though. Whatever you set your time at, it has to be that every week. That's one thing. Consistency is important, especially with radio nets, because the first time someone shows up and there's no one there talking at that time in that place, they're done. So basically, where are we at with nets? Well, number one, they can't conflict. Okay. If you got a 7 o'clock net that runs about an hour, then you can't have a 7:30 net. You can't. If you do that, you're going to alienate the people on the first net that may have been going for a very long time. And we just had something like this happen here locally where we have a net that's been going for decades. Okay. And they just scheduled another net 30 minutes after this one starts. It generally lasts about an hour. This week, almost everybody that was in the first net went over and did a late check-in into the second net, and it was a little uncomfortable. He had a rush. He had more late check-ins than regular check-ins. That's going to be the case every week now because we're all over on this one net. And then this other net starts right in the middle of the first net. All we needed was 30 more minutes. So we moved so maybe we moved the 7:30 net down to 7. Maybe we moved the 8 o'clock net up to 8:30. But the answer is not to have them 30 minutes apart. That just has to be the answer. They can't be 30 minutes apart because it's just going to create a conflict every week. And it's already served to create some animosity out there. You've got people that are not happy when they've been going to a net for a long time and then the club schedules another net over the top of it. Doesn't make everybody happy. And in ham radio, most people don't tell you when they're not happy. They're just not happy. So anyway, I think that it's important to get together as net controllers and net coordinators and try to figure out a plan when we have a conflict. Let me move mine up 15 minutes. You move yours down 15 minutes. Let me change mine to a different night, and that way you can go up 30 minutes and you've got the whole evening, whatever. There's a way to work this out where nets don't overlap each other. It's so important. You got to respect the nets that have been around a long time too. I mean, these guys have been on here every week for months and years and decades, and I think it's important to make sure that even if you start it when this net ends, which I don't like doing. Okay, we have one net that does that every couple nets where we do this net, and then when it ends, we wait 3 minutes and we start this net, and then when this net ends, we wait 3 minutes and start. That's not really a good plan, but it works. Okay, it works because it may work better than the alternative, which is to schedule them out on 30-minute increments. People aren't going to sit around with a dead radio and wait 12 minutes for the next net to start. So I don't know how I feel about that. That's kind of a twisted deal right there. But I almost think it's better to say, look, we're going to do this net at 7:30, and then when this net's over, 5 minutes later, we're going to do this net. That's probably better considering it's mostly the same people that were on one net that'll be on the other net. So stagger start times. We've got to figure out a way to not have one net running while another net is running at the same time. We've got two nets here that run at the exact same time. They start at the exact same time. They run at the exact same time every week. And you have to pick one or the other. One's simplex and one's on a different radio system. And so it immediately divides your audience in half because there's no way to take part in a digital practice net and take part in a simplex net at the same time. I mean, that would be pretty difficult. I guess you could try it. Cooperation is key with these things. We've just got to find a way to get everybody working together, and make it work. Planning for it. So what's the best way to figure out what times. Now, I've done a number of nonprofits. I'm quite a philanthropist. I've been the president of a number of 501c3s in my life. And I also have managed fire departments and had been an administrator. So I understand this stuff, and I understand that there's a lot of planning that has to go into it. And if you're just anecdotally asking people, so when would you like to see an ad? Hey, would 2:00 be okay with you? That doesn't work. When you have clubs with hundreds of people in them, you need to do surveys. When people get a survey, I hate to say this, but even if you don't look at it, the people think that their input was valued. If they're never asked, I joined a club, I'm there for 2 years. No one ever asked me what I wanted. Think about that. No one ever asked me what I wanted. No one ever asked me if I liked this or if I liked that. The board votes on everything. So I was just like a fifth wheel. I mean, it was kind of ridiculous. It's like, how do they even know what I want without a survey? And when you have 15% of the people that show up for the meeting, and you have 20% of the people that show up for the meeting on the air, and there's really no discussion in those meetings about what people want to see their club do, and you're not putting out surveys, how can you honestly say that you have a grasp on the things that your club members want to see? And that's why I strongly suggest Google Surveys is free. It's created just like a Google Doc. You create the survey, you put the answers, you don't have anything fill in the blank. It's all multiple choice. That way you can go and see trends really easy, and you don't have to go through and dig through 1,000 things. Have everything multiple choice. Simple multiple choice. Yes, no, I don't care. What times are best for you? Monday, 7 p.m. Monday, 8 p.m. Monday, 9 p.m. Tuesday, 7 p.m. You got to do this. I know it's a pain in the ass, but you got to do this. And then when you get the survey back, Google will put it into bar graphs for you. It's so simple. And then you take that, it shows you exactly what times would be best for all of your people. And that's the key. That's the key to this thing, is finding out the best time for all of your people. Posting net schedules, the club here is encouraging people to get on the nets. They're actively encouraging people to get on the nets, and I think that's great. There should be reminders sent out. There should be every net. This is something that's not done. This is my radio background. And when I say radio, I mean commercial radio background. It's called the tease. And it's something that ham radio needs to learn. At the end of each net, it should be, thanks for attending the net tonight. And don't forget, coming up on Thursday night at 8:00, it's the Simplex net. And at Friday at 2:30, you got to sell it, dude. You got to sell it. You should be teasing. Every net should tease ahead to the next two nets. Just like on the radio. It's legal, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're telling everybody on the radio when the next net is. That should be part of the preamble or the postamble, whatever you want to call it. When you read the end of that statement at the end, thank you everybody for attending. That should be part of it. The tease for the next 2 or 3 nets to remind everybody of those nets. Every week on the club net, they should come on and say, hey, don't forget, we want you guys active on the nets. Coming up next, we got this net. Coming up on Wednesday night, we've got this net and this net. At these times, and this week, we're going to be talking about yays. And on the newbie net this week, we're going to be talking about getting involved with POTA. And on the POTA net this week, we're going to be talking about how to be a good activator. I mean, dude, with just a little bit of sales, we could get 50 people on these. It'd be too many people, and we'd have to start truncating somehow. I'm telling you guys, it works on radio. It'll work on this radio. Okay, you got to sell it, man. You got to get out there and you got to sell it. You got to make people understand. We do this every night of the week, not just tonight. Join us tomorrow night for a great net where we're going to be talking about interesting stuff. You got to build it. You got to hype it. You got to be on it, and you got to make it sound like something people can't miss. And that's what's missed a lot of times on these nets is you get the welcome to the net. Thanks for coming to the net tonight. We'll see you guys on the next net. Good night. 7-3. No encouragement, no energy, no nothing. Oh my goodness. Net durations. A lot of people suggest nets are way too long. They should be kept tight. Other people like me love long nets because I like the rag chew. I like hearing people go back and forth. No, I buy this kind of tower because it works better. No, I buy this kind of guy wire. I like the discussion. I like when a tech net goes for an hour and a half. If I gotta go, I go. I'll tell him I'm securing my station now, and I go. But I like a long net, and so I don't really buy into the whole keep it tight. But if you have hour and a half long nets, that makes scheduling that much more difficult. So you have to keep that in mind as well. Always run on time. One of the biggest things with nets, and they're very good about this around here. I watch the clock on my computer tick down 58, 59, CQ, CQ, CQ. I'm like, man, it's a big thing around here. They hit that right exactly at the top of the hour. And I like that. Being in commercial radio, I respect that because timing comes down to seconds, not minutes. And I think that I'm not saying that you have to hit it on the second mark, but I'm saying it's a nice touch. All right. And nets should be every week. Nets that alternate weeks or nets that alternate purposes or nets that alternate times do not do well. If it's good enough to have a net, it's good enough to have every week. If you want to hold a net and you want to do it the first and third Saturday, find another guy that'll do the second and fourth Saturday, even if it's a different topic, okay? Nets have to be every week. People don't remember every other week scheduling. They hate it. There's always that third week, that extra week that gets thrown in every 3 months. It's confusing to people. Some schedules go first and third Saturday. Some are second and fourth Saturday. I've even seen things second and last Saturday. That gets even more complicated. And some people say every other week, which is something different. So it gets complicated. I strongly suggest just bucking up and doing it every week. If you don't have enough content to cover every week, then don't. Find a second purpose for that net and alternate purposes, but don't alternate nights. That's all I'm saying there. I guess it basically comes down to the goal. The goal of nets is to get people active in ham radio. It's participation. We want to get people in ham radio and get them active. And the number one thing to get people into ham radio and to get them active is to schedule things when they're available. Number one. And number two, not to schedule things when they conflict with other things, especially other things that a lot of the same people are involved with. Don't build a schedule based on what you can do. Build a schedule based on what they can do. Because if it's just you talking to yourself, you're wasting your time anyway. So you really need to consider the group that you're talking to and how many of them can be available. And maybe not scheduling it on your favorite time, but scheduling it on a time that works best for the most amount of people. Remember the Vulcan axiom. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and this works out great here. I'm sorry if it excludes a few, but when we schedule it at 7:30 p.m. on Monday nights, most of us can be there, and that's important. A well-scheduled, inclusive family of radio nets can be a great asset. It can be an amazing asset to a club to continue membership, to get new membership, to get new people active and keep older people who not necessarily age older, but people that have been hams longer, keeping them active in the hobby. The biggest problem we have in ham radio is not necessarily getting people licensed. It's getting them active after they get their license. That's where we lose most of the people, because they've already taken the effort to get licensed, but we never hooked them. If you don't hook them, they'll sit around with a dead license for 10 years. And that's it. And we don't want that. We want to get everybody on the air. And the way to do that is to make sure there's no scheduling conflicts whatsoever. Nets are a very, very important part of ham radio. They really are. And maybe you don't like nets, but a lot of people do. And I think that a lot of people that don't like nets either A, have not tried them, or B, were on a net that was not handled well, not scheduled well, not operated well. And if that's the case, then maybe we can get these people back into it again. We've got some nets, the NTS net, for instance, very strict. Very strict. Got to say it just right. They correct you on every little thing. We got other nets like the Cape Coral Gab Fest where we just get on there and say, hey guys, what's up? The pharmaceutical net. Hey guys, here's my aches and pains this morning. So it's good to have information nets, purpose-driven nets, and GabFest nets. And we've got a great selection of them here. The hardest part is just keeping them all scheduled so that they're not on top of each other. And that is difficult. And that starts with surveys. All right, guys, that's what I have today. Nets. Participate in your local nets, please. It's one way to help ham radio. And people on that net can help you, and you can help people on that net, whether it's trading tower sections, learning how to string up a wire, or just finding some guys to go hang out with at lunch bunch. The nets are great. I love them. And I think that if you got sour to them at some point, you should give them another shot. Find certain nets that you like. Not all of them are going to be to your taste. Okay, and there is some very different tastes out there. Find the one you like and get in it. Stay active in ham radio. It's the only way we're going to save this hobby. As I keep saying, there's just a few things that are saving this hobby. Baofeng, cheap Chinese radios, are helping to save the hobby. POTA, right now, helping to save the hobby. And I think a healthy network of nets in each locality, including regional nets, like here on NI4CE and SARNet. I think all of these are important. And I think that's the third most important thing, is to find reasons to be active and stay active. All right, guys, that's what I have today. Net scheduling. It's important. All right, guys, catch you later. Catch you on the next one. This is Starship Adventures. My name's Ian. I hope to see you down the log, or maybe on our next adventure, wherever that may be. We'll see you next time. 7-3.